But Charles grew bitter with time. He had daughters from different relationships, but no sons. And the older Thomas's boy became, the more Charles started seeing himself in the child. One evening, Charles drank too much at a local tavern and shouted, "My son is living another man's life." Word reached the family immediately. Thomas's parents panicked. They arranged a family gathering hoping to calm Charles down before he ruined everything. The party was held at Thomas's parents' house. Music played loudly. Children ran around outside. The smell of grilled meat filled the yard. Cindy moved around happily greeting everyone, completely unaware that her world was about to collapse. Thomas could barely breathe. Charles had been drinking since afternoon. And every drink made him louder. More reckless. More dangerous. "Today I'm telling the truth," Charles kept muttering. Thomas pulled him aside. "Please, Charles, don't do this." Charles laughed bitterly. "You got the family. You got the wife. You got the son." He pointed at the little boy playing soccer outside. "But that boy is mine." Thomas felt cold. "You were paid," he whispered desperately. "And I want more than money now." As the evening continued, tension spread through the house. Thomas's mother tried calming Charles down. His father warned him to stop. Even the cousins begged him to think carefully. But Charles had made up his mind. Finally, he stood up suddenly and banged his glass against the table. The entire house became silent. "I'm tired of secrets," Charles announced loudly. Everyone froze. Cindy frowned in confusion. "What secrets?" she asked. Charles looked directly at her. "The boy you call Thomas's son." He pointed toward the child. "Is actually my son." The room exploded with gasps. Cindy stared at him in disbelief. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Charles laughed. "Ask your husband." Slowly. Everyone turned toward Thomas. Thomas's legs felt weak. Sweat rolled down his face. For years he had imagined this exact moment. And now it had arrived. Cindy walked toward him slowly. Her eyes searched his face desperately. "Thomas." Her voice cracked. "Tell me he's lying." Thomas opened his mouth. But no words came out. The silence answered first. Cindy stepped back immediately. Her face slowly turned red with rage and disbelief. "Thomas," she shouted. Tears filled his eyes. And finally, he broke. "It's true." The room erupted into chaos. Cindy looked like someone had stabbed her in the heart. "You did what?" Thomas tried speaking. Tried explaining. Tried apologizing. But the words sounded empty. Charles folded his arms proudly. "That boy is my only son," he declared. "And I want him back." That statement shocked everyone. Even the family members who once supported the plan became horrified. "You can't do that," Thomas's mother shouted. "He's not some object." But Charles refused to listen. "He's my blood." Cindy suddenly went quiet. Too quiet. She looked around the room slowly. Then she laughed. A cold, shocking laugh. Everyone became confused. Charles frowned. "What's funny?" Cindy wiped her tears slowly. Then she looked directly at Charles. That child is not yours. Silence crashed across the room. Charles blinked. What? Cindy folded her arms. I said, that child is not yours. Thomas stared at her in confusion. Charles laughed angrily. You're lying. But Cindy shook her head calmly. No. You all thought you were clever. She looked at Thomas with pain in her eyes. At that time, I knew Thomas couldn't give me children. His ex-wife contacted me and told me everything, but I decided to keep it to myself. I still wanted my own kids, but I didn't want to lose Thomas. I decided to go back to my ex-boyfriend so he can get me pregnant. After a few months of finding out I was pregnant, my ex-boyfriend passed on. He was killed in a car accident. The room froze completely. Thomas's heart nearly stopped. Cindy continued speaking. We had broken up before I met Thomas, but we still spoke sometimes. Charles's face lost color. The room became completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. I decided to keep the baby, she continued. She continued. And when Thomas became happy about the pregnancy, I said nothing. Thomas looked like he had been struck by lightning. So all these years, he whispered. Cindy nodded slowly. Yes. Charles exploded in anger. You're lying. But Cindy stood firm. You can do DNA tests if you want. Charles suddenly looked uncertain for the first time that night. Thomas sat down slowly, completely overwhelmed. All those years of fear. All those payments. All the guilt. All the suffering. And the child had never been Charles's son. Cindy looked around the room at every single family member. I trusted all of you, she said painfully. No matter what problems existed in this marriage, none of you had the right to do what you did to me. Nobody could look her in the eyes. Thomas's mother started crying quietly. Even Thomas's father lowered his head in shame. Finally, Cindy looked at Thomas. You betrayed me in the worst possible way. Thomas broke down completely. I know, he whispered. But despite everything. Cindy glanced outside at the little boy laughing innocently with other children. That child knows only one father. Thomas looked up immediately. Tears streamed down his face. Cindy took a deep breath. You will continue being his father. Thomas cried openly. Not because he deserved forgiveness. But because despite everything, he still had a chance to remain in his son's life. Charles stormed out of the house in humiliation while the family watched silently. And for the first time in years, Thomas felt free. Not because the truth disappeared, but because it had finally come into the light. The road ahead would not be easy. Trust had been broken. Pain would take years to heal. But one thing remained true. Love had made a family long before blood ever did. And when the little boy ran inside shouting, Daddy, come play with me, Thomas wiped his tears, stood up, and followed his son outside. The end. Did you enjoy it? Type yes in the comment section if you did. Please don't forget to like and follow for more stories.